This week, when you should plan for rain and how Memorial Day weekend is looking so far coming up.
We could see some rain. Hi, Allison.
Hey there, guys. So right now looking pretty clear across our radar here locally, but just out to our west, we've got some thunderstorms on our doorstep impacting areas of central Indiana over toward Indianapolis. The direction of a lot of these thunderstorms back out west is generally moving off to the north and east. So what that means for us here locally is while we could see an isolated thunderstorm with this kind of mess of a line of thunderstorms moving through central Indiana, I don't think many of us do. Best chances to see some rainfall here tonight would be areas throughout southeastern Indiana, especially north of I-74. So if you are in Franklin or Union counties, you've got the best potential to see some rainfall here this evening. You'll see on Futurecast, it's a little bit too excited in my opinion to bring thunderstorms our way. This is 7 o'clock tonight. I don't necessarily think that this plays out, but I do think as we get closer to 11 or so, we could see some rainfall for areas throughout southeastern Indiana, whereas areas east of I-75 likely stay dry through a lot of tonight. However, we have several chances of rain throughout the rest of the week, starting with, of course, tonight, but then tomorrow. I'm going to show you that potential for some scattered thunderstorms for your Tuesday coming up. Ashley Shree this week, including the potential for some showers or thunderstorms out there tonight. I'll show you who's most likely to see that wet weather tonight and our next weather impact day just around the corner tomorrow coming up. You're watching Cincinnati's WLWT News 5, and we'll be right back. Course, weather top of mind for honoring and celebrating the weekend, but as we move through, we're going to have a really rainy week approaching it, and even parts of this weekend are going to be a little bit wet at times. So right now across greater Cincinnati, locally things are still very quiet and dry. Temperatures are quite warm outside. Feels like a summer day out there for sure, and it's going to stay that way for a lot of us throughout the rest of this evening. But I'm keeping a close eye on these thunderstorms back out to our west, so you can see pretty active weather out towards central Indiana, including some heavy rain, thunderstorms. Earlier, there was a severe thunderstorm warning issued for areas just north of I-70, but for the most part, things are kind of weakening as they move off to the east. But the thing is a lot of the direction with these storms is to the north and east. So I think a lot of us end up missing this active weather for the rest of tonight. If anybody were to see some thunderstorm activity, it would be towns that are generally north of I-74 throughout southeastern Indiana, kind of sandwiched between 70 and 74 there, as well as the potential for some rainfall throughout other spots just to the south of I-74. So not completely ruling out the chance of rain for tonight, but I think a lot of us here this evening wind up staying dry, even though we've got all of that active weather back out to our west. Meanwhile, temperatures have warmed up quite a bit. We're sitting at 84 in Cincinnati right now, 87 in Independence, and tomorrow is going to be another warm day. But we also have actually a better chance of seeing thunderstorms around here tomorrow. Storm Prediction Center has us now under a slight risk of severe weather for areas along I-71 and to the north and west. So this includes a lot of the greater Cincinnati area. If you're in our northern Kentucky metro and then areas off to the north, all included under that slight risk for tomorrow. So with that, tomorrow evening, we are looking at the chance for more thunderstorms to develop, likely sometime after about 5 o'clock tomorrow evening that we see that storm threat going up. And with that, we could see an isolated stronger storm bringing in some gustier wind. So for the rest of this evening, here's an idea of how Futurecast is handling it. Again, I think it's a little too excited to bring that activity this far east by 7 o'clock, but I certainly think some of these spots around Brookville, Liberty, Harrison even could see some rainfall here tonight. Likely it would be rain with the possibility of some embedded thunder kind of mixed in, but we start off dry tomorrow morning. Then getting into tomorrow afternoon, still looking to be a partly cloudy day, very warm outside, temperatures making it into the mid to upper 80s. But then by tomorrow evening and tomorrow night, we'll start to see the chance of some thunderstorms returning, developing sometime after about 5 o'clock tomorrow evening. And with that, a stronger wind gust, certainly a possibility, maybe even some hail within some of those stronger thunderstorms. And this is just going to be the first of a few weather impact days we have throughout the rest of the week. Wednesday is also going to be weather impact day because it's going to be pretty rainy to start off, and then into the afternoon we'll slowly start to dry out. We get a break from the rainfall Thursday, but then heading into Memorial Day weekend, we are going to see some off and on showers and thunderstorms kind of spread throughout the weekend. Not a total washout of a holiday weekend, but by Friday does look like we'll have some scattered thunderstorms returning to the area. Saturday and Sunday, so far at this point, looking mostly dry. Throughout all of greater Cincinnati so far today. I am keeping a close eye on some thunderstorms back out to our west, mainly over top of Indianapolis right now. It's been a really rainy afternoon for Indy and areas surrounding, but for us here locally, I think majority of us end up staying dry, even though we've got this wet weather just to our west because it's generally moving off to the north and east. So if anybody were to see some rainfall here this evening, it would be for areas likely north of I-74 with a timeline, if this still holds together, closer to about 6 or 7 o'clock tonight. But I'm thinking most of us end up staying dry, even those southeastern Indiana communities. If you were to see some rainfall, it would likely be a rain and then also the potential for some rumbles of thunder. But again, I think the vast majority of us end up staying dry throughout a lot of this evening. Maybe some rain trying to make its way closer to I-75, closer to about 9 or 10 o'clock tonight. But for the most part, things are still looking to be pretty quiet out there for us. Temperatures are in the 80s and will stay that way for the rest of this evening. Rain chances going up tomorrow, though. This time tomorrow afternoon, in fact, I expect to start to see some rain, possibly some thunderstorms developing throughout the area. I'll show you the outlook for that, plus what Memorial Day weekend is looking like so far coming up. Some rain or thunderstorms throughout this evening, but really, as we head into tomorrow, it's a weather impact day, more thunderstorm development possible. I'll show you the impacts coming up in a few minutes. You're watching Cincinnati's WLWT News 5. We'll be right back. These thunderstorms back out here over top of Indianapolis, we'll be watching them very closely. The general direction, though, for them is a more northeast direction rather than kind of an eastward pull. So that's some good news for us. I do think if you're in potentially Fayette or Union counties in southeastern Indiana, you have the best chance to see some rain. In fact, it looks like you could have even had some thunder not too long ago with that little light shower that just rolled through. But for the most part, areas north of 74, that's where I'm looking for the rest of this evening to see some rain or some thunderstorms moving through. And with how kind of slowly these are moving, as well as how more north where they're moving, I'm thinking that timeline is going to be closer to about 6 o'clock or so before we're able to see any of the rain actually making its way into the Cincinnati area. As far as the rest of the evening goes for us, we're looking at temperatures in the upper 80s. That's going to stick around for a little while. Now, I do think there is going to be the chance for some thunderstorms developing tomorrow afternoon that we'll have to keep a little bit of a closer eye on just because some of those storms could be on the strong side. You see here, the Storm Prediction Center has portions of greater Cincinnati, including all of southeastern Indiana, a lot of northern Kentucky and a lot of southwest Ohio under that slight risk of severe weather. So with that for tomorrow, timeline is going to be after about 5 o'clock or later that we see that chance for some thunderstorms to develop. They are going to be a little bit more scattered, so not everybody ends up seeing rain tomorrow evening necessarily, but I do think Wednesday ends up being a little bit of a soggy start to the day for a lot of us. Tonight, closer to about 7 o'clock, we could see some rainfall moving into areas of southeastern Indiana. I think most of us, though, throughout Hamilton County, northern Kentucky, end up staying dry throughout a lot of tonight. As we head into tomorrow morning, things are going to be quiet, dry. Tomorrow afternoon, more of the same, looking dry throughout actually a lot of the school day tomorrow. So if your kids maybe have field day or last day of school happening for a lot of us here this week, I do think a lot of the school day is to be dry for tomorrow. But as we head into the evening time frame, possibly as early as 5 o'clock, we'll start to see some spotty to scattered storm development, and we will have to watch some of those thunderstorms for potentially bringing in some strong or gusty wind, as well as the potential for some hail. All those things to keep a close eye on. And then, of course, the heavy rain threat, the thunder and lightning, all going to be things that will be possible for tomorrow evening. Once we get into Wednesday, it's more of a morning to early afternoon threat for some rain moving through the area. I think our totals for these 2 days combined, Tuesday and Wednesday, likely to be closer to about an inch or so for a lot of towns and communities. Wednesday certainly looks like more widespread rain that I think is going to be soggy and impacting at least the first half of the day. Then as we head into Memorial Weekend, it is going to be hit or miss because some days at this point trending dry. Other days like Friday as well as Monday has the potential for some rain, some thunderstorms around the area Friday, and then Monday again as we get into Monday afternoon. So you can actually see some of that heavy rainfall making its way closer into Ripley County. We've got some rainfall that's edging throughout portions of Fayette, Franklin, and Union counties as well in southeastern Indiana. So north of 74, light rainfall there, but back behind you in Versailles, this is going to bring in some heavy rain, thunder and lightning, nothing severe. It looks like at this point we're seeing some winds closer to about 45 miles per hour with this line of some heavy showers moving in here. So you'll definitely hear the heavy rain. You'll definitely hear the thunder and lightning coming in with it, but it should remain sub-severe as it moves in. In fact, it looks still like it's going to weaken out very quickly as it pushes further to the east. We do have some light rain over top of Brookville Lake now, areas around Blooming Grove over toward Columbia and Connorsville seeing some of that heavy rainfall, as well as right around Oxford. We do have some light to more moderate showers moving through there. There is the potential for some additional heavy rain to start to work its way into areas of southeastern Indiana, south of 74, as well as some areas of northern Kentucky here tonight. I don't necessarily think that this is something that everybody is going to see, but there is at least the chance to have some rainfall moving into areas west of I-75 throughout the next 2 hours or so. So coming up in a few minutes, I'm going to show you when we can expect to see our next round of thunderstorms moving in here tomorrow, because that one could be a little bit more robust. I'll have that timeline coming up. Ashley, we have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for areas of Ripley and Dearborn counties in southeastern Indiana until 7:45. I'll go over my latest thoughts on this thunderstorm that's moving through and how long it's going to be creating an issue for you coming up here in a few minutes. You're watching Cincinnati's WLWT News 5, and we'll be right back. For you if you are back here in Ripley County. It's approaching Dearborn County, so it's going to start to move in closer to about the next 10 to 15 minutes. And with that, you also have some activity out ahead of it, but the really heavy rain, thunder and lightning, and potentially even some gusty winds back out over top of Osgood and Versailles right now. I was looking at some of the winds earlier. Looked like there were winds potentially as strong as about 50 to 55 miles per hour. I do think that is a potential that we could see some of those stronger winds anywhere from about 45, and keep in mind, a severe thunderstorm warning means we could see winds up to about 60 miles per hour. So that is a possibility as the storm starts to work its way off to the east. Here's a timeline of it all. Moving into areas around Moores Hill, closer to 7:16 or so. Moving into areas around St. Mary's, right around 7:20. Closer to Sparta, right around 7:20 as well, if it can still hold together. And then if you're out toward Dillsboro, about 7:21 or so before that starts to move in there. A few more slides to go through here on radar. I'll show you some rainfall back up toward Connorsville. Areas around Liberty also seeing some light rain. Nothing severe warned if you are north of I-70 or I-74, I should say. The severe thunderstorm warning does go into areas of southern Franklin County. So if you are in Oldenburg, you might also be under that, or you are under that severe thunderstorm warning, and you might be seeing some of that heavy rain just now starting to move in. Gusty winds will be a possibility for you as well. So far, no reports of hail or anything like that, so that is some good news there with that. We also have some rainfall on the lighter side moving into portions of Butler County, right just outside of Middletown right now. We'll still see the chance for some additional rainfall throughout this evening, but if you notice in the last about 20 minutes or so, this line is starting to fall apart pretty quickly. So I'm not expecting widespread severe thunderstorms. I think this is likely going to be hopefully a rogue severe thunderstorm warning that we end up with here this evening. But tomorrow we do have the chance for more strong weather. So as we get into tomorrow evening, we are going to see another round of thunderstorms developing. That could prompt for a few more severe thunderstorm warnings across the area by this time tomorrow evening. Some of those main concerns would be the chance for some strong to gusty wind. Throughout the rest of tonight, here's 8 o'clock this evening, and this is how Futurecast is handling this. Could start to see some rainfall moving into the Cincinnati metro here within the hour or so if this line can hold together, but it rapidly falls apart. So areas east of I-75 still very much in question as to whether or not you end up seeing any of the rain from this line to move through. Throughout the day tomorrow, we'll start off dry in the morning, likely staying dry throughout majority of the afternoon, as long as we don't see any isolated development tomorrow afternoon. But once we get to about this time tomorrow, we will start to see likely more thunderstorms going up across the area, some of which could be on the strong side, bringing in some winds gusting closer to about, I would say, some wind gusts closer to about 45, possibly even stronger than that for tomorrow's thunderstorms. That rain chance will continue into Wednesday morning. It is going to be a little bit of a soggy start to the day on Wednesday. Weather impact day tomorrow, weather impact day on Wednesday too. Before those thunderstorms, it gets very warm tomorrow. 86 for the high temperature.